So many people wrote off Travis Etienne. He says, not so fast, my friend, and there's a big reason why the Jaguars are 1-0. We'll discuss it today here on Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is, in fact, your team every day here on Locked On Jaguars. We thank you for making us your first listen. I'm Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On Jaguars podcast that you can find wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you tap into that location so you do not miss an episode like the one today that is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code Locked On NFL for $20 off your first purchase. All right, man, we're going to get into it today. You know, we love here on Locked On Jaguars to make sure that you always got your finger on the pulse of the team and to give you the latest news as it comes and give it to you fast here from local experts. And that's what I am. Been credentialed for 2 decades with this team and have seen a lot. And I saw something yesterday that I was very, very happy about. And that's a team that found a way to win, even though everything was not perfect, but they won it the way they wanted to win the game. And that's what we're going to talk about here today. We're going to end up discussing things that need to be cleaned up between week 1 and week 2. Right in the middle of the show, how overcoming poor stretches can actually become a skill if you make it a habit. That's right. But we're going to start with Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne has something to say. I got that from Outkast. He went to the Source Awards back in the 90s and said the South got something to say. And whenever people say something like that, it can be a moment of demarcation that goes from poor history or history that is perceived a certain way to history that changes, right? And that change is hard, man. Sometimes you go through a whole bunch of tough stuff in order to make that change happen. And I think we're doing that now with the Jacksonville Jaguars because people were happy yesterday when they left. They were glad that they were 1-0, but they were like, all right, Wig, how good really are we? Because Carolina probably isn't that good. Don't go through that. Don't put yourself through that. And I'm going to tell you why right now. The reason why I don't want you to put yourself through that, because one, no one should be drawing any conclusions after week 1, whether your team won or lost, except if you already knew they were bad and they proved it to you, then you probably have a good reason to feel that way. But all of the teams that won, and especially teams that have changes, what you have to realize, man, is that change is good. And that's why I want to talk about Travis Etienne at the top, because he was a number 1 pick. He's had 2 1,000-yard seasons in 4 years prior to the one where we're playing now. He had another year where he didn't play at all in the regular season and another one where he was banged up. All of that time, Travis Etienne was running behind an offensive line that, quite frankly, didn't look like they were very interested in knocking people around, right? In a regime that, quite frankly, were doing the best they could. God bless them. They were doing the absolute best they could, but that best just was not good enough, right? Yeah, I know I'm right. I'm telling you. And what happens in your mind is I used to call this dumping the wrong cargo. There were a lot of people saying, I've seen enough of Etienne. Let's just move on. I'm glad James Gladstone and Liam Cohen didn't listen to that, because he had a good workman-like 143-yard game yesterday. And I know he busted that chunk play for 70 yards. But even if you take that out, he's still at 4.5, 4.6 yards per carry. 4.6 yards. Matter of fact, that's so good. I'm going to remind everybody that Fred Taylor did that 8 times in his career, and they still ain't got him in Canton. And I'm going to say that every time I get a chance when that 4.6 number comes up. But that's about where it was. Good workman-like day, getting the down and distance shorter. There were some times when it was 1st and 20 because of penalties. They'd run the ball and get 6 or 7. I think one time they got 10. They cut that in half. So now it's 2nd and 10. And it's almost like, okay, we didn't lose the yards. We just lost the down. His running was so critical yesterday. I thought he was patient, but I also thought that he wasn't impatient. There's 2 different things. You can be a patient runner, but then you can be someone that every now and then you get impatient and you lose yards. He did not do that. Whenever he saw that there was no big play, he stuck his nose down and got that lean. I call it the Terry Allen lean. And anybody who knows anything about Clemson football, Terry Allen was always known for that body lean, right? He probably played 25 years before Travis Etienne did at Clemson. But that body lean is extremely important because this is a game of inches. It's a game of inches. And if you get an extra foot and a half because you just went forward as opposed to laying down, how many times have you seen it? It'd be third and inches or fourth and inches, and they barely. No, you got to get. People always look at the last down before they have to make a decision to punt. Some of these things are won on first and second down. Good for Travis Etienne. I'm going to pick at him a little bit because he got caught by a linebacker. I know he was cutting back on all of this. He still got caught from the back by a linebacker. And I'm joking because I know for a fact how these locker rooms work, and they're probably ragging on him about that. But really, really good game. And it speaks to something bigger. Don't give up on people. Just like everything changed when they brought in Liam Cohen and a crew of offensive linemen and a different mindset, you got to give him the benefit of the doubt and let him play under that change before you want to cast him off and send him off. And I know that they didn't pick up his fifth-year option. That doesn't mean that they won't extend him at some point. I think they wanted to take a look-see of their own and not take anybody else's word for it. Give him a chance to show what he can do in this offense and how he could be a catalyst in this offense. And there's a reason, and it doesn't mean he's going to be the one that does it every week, but there's a reason he was chosen in the first round and not the other running backs on the team. He has something special about him, and he's healthy. And it must feel like night and day for Travis Etienne to be running where there's actually room to get the ball and not actually get hit really, really quickly. They're going forward on third and short, third and 2. They'll run it right up the middle and get the first down because they believe that strongly in their ability to move people out of the way. This is something that is so important because this is the thing that Liam Cohen talked about. And if you saw the clip from Jaguars.com in the locker room, he let a few expletives off and he told everybody, we did this to their you-know-what. And we ran that blankety blank this many times on the you-know-what. And we were the most physical team flat out, without question. We were the most physical team. He talked the talk and he walked the walk. And yesterday, the vehicle that he used was a little dude from Louisiana who played with his brother yesterday, played against his brother yesterday and took a photo op. A great moment for that family, but a great moment for a young man that has been trying to get his footing and has probably heard a lot of people, including me, question whether or not he was going to be here for the long haul. It shows that everyone is bought in and he is putting his best foot forward. And he keeps playing like that, he might get a little contract extension, get a little boost put on that paycheck before the end of the year. Overcoming poor stretches, we wanted to see how the Jaguars, what would happen if they got punched in the mouth? What would happen if things started to not go their way? Could they still play complimentary football? Yes and yes. I'll tell you all about it in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. All right, today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. With football back, Prize Picks is the simplest, fastest way to get on the action, to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes all in less than 60 seconds. You know, I've been playing Prize Picks for a long time, and it has been my go-to for a little bit of extra Skrilla, man. So you better stay locked in for the season. Some people yesterday put you on notice that they're going to be able to exceed those projections, like Travis Etienne, right? All right, this week's max discounts include, and I want you to check this out, Travis Kelce in their next game on the 14th, half a receiving yard. Now, you know Travis Kelce going to get half a receiving yard unless he does what he does to his teammate and knock him out of the game early. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. And today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Upside. Are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind, man, and get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code, Touchdown, and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You could make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code Touchdown for a limited time 25-cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code Touchdown. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. Moving and grooving here on a Victory Monday in the 904, better known as Duval, where the Jacksonville Jaguars started the season off 1-0. Some good things that I saw. The good things came after the bad thing. You never know how somebody's going to respond when somebody starts punching them in the mouth, right? And it looked like early on that's exactly what was going to go down because Carolina started running the ball and they were having some success, and then they were converting some on third downs. And the Jaguars couldn't get out of their own way with penalties on offense. And eventually Carolina was able to tie the game up 3-3. And I'm thinking like, okay, we're not going to be in a dogfight with these dudes, are they? That's when the defense stepped up to play complementary football and help the offense. Carolina could not run the ball after having a little bit of success early on when we thought that it appeared that they were going to try to control the game. The Jaguars then took over, then started to get chunk plays, then started to create turnovers, then started to basically flex their muscle as if to say, I don't care what you do, you're just not better than us, and I'm not going to let you even look like you're better than us. And that's the way that it came across. It came across like the Jacksonville Jaguars were just like, look, we're the better team and we're going to win. Period, point blank, end of discussion. We are the better team and we're going to win. And that's the feeling that I got, right? And then I had to remind myself, some people say comparison is the thief of joy. Not in football and boxing and sports, because you're absolutely comparing yourself to another team when you're in the game. The game is about competitive comparison, right? So it's not the same thing that you looking across the street at your neighbor and y'all don't make the same kind of money and you want his truck. No, this is something where you guys are in direct competition with each other. So it's obvious to compare. And last year, Carolina picked 6 and the Jaguars picked 4th. So that would tell you that either by record or by whatever metric the NFL uses, that they determined that the Jaguars were a worse team than Carolina. The Jaguars traded up to number 2, got Travis Hunter. Carolina sat where they were, and they ended up getting Teteroy McMillan. I think they moved back and still got Teteroy McMillan, a wide receiver, who, by the way, was someone that everyone thought the Jaguars wanted if they couldn't get Travis. That would have been a good pick because he can play. We'll just get that out there. But you always wonder what happens when you work out, and do all of these things, and then you get on the scale and it says you only lost 2 pounds, right? What happens when the misery of yesterday starts to look like it's trying to sink in and ruin your day? There was a stretch right after the rain delay that kind of threw everybody off, including me, in ways I can't even tell you. I'm on a physical schedule with certain things, right? And that kind of threw me off a little bit, but it threw everything off, and it seemed like the offense started sputtering. And Trevor had a couple of balls kind of fly away from him and get away. And then there was a great interception by J.C. Horn, and they continued to have these penalties, and it almost was like, here we go again. Fortunately, the Jaguars were way ahead, and Carolina, for some ungodly reason, and I don't care what it was, refused to take field goals. The Jaguars had 2 turnover on downs, and created 3 more. And in the words of Liam Cohen, that's 5 times y'all got us the ball back. That was the reason they were able to run for over 200 yards. It was also the reason that they were able to control more of the clock and have more first downs. And they took advantage, the Jaguars did, of having a kicker who had 4 field goals yesterday in Cam Little. I told you Cam was going to be that weapon, man, that secret weapon. If the Jaguars get anywhere near the 40-yard line, they're going to try that kick. There was a point in the game where, if y'all follow me on social media, I actually thought they were about to try to break the record for a field goal because they got a delay of game penalty. There was a 60, they were lined up on 3rd down. It would have been a 62-yarder. And somebody in the press box says, yeah, the record is like 67 or something from Justin Tucker. They got a penalty that moved them back. I said, I know they didn't get a delay of game just so this kid could break this record today, right? Turns out that's not what happened because they ended up completing a pass that put them in the red zone, or close to the red zone. But it was a fun little moment. But the thing is you now see with him being the weapon that he is, and it was partly the reason the Jaguars were able to get points before the half. They were able to get points before the half because they got that ball back. And teams have to play them honestly. Normally in those situations, teams just back up and let you dink and dunk underneath, and they know you ain't going to get close enough to really make any noise. You got to guard Jacksonville. You can't let them dink and dunk because the second they cross midfield, they're going to run little Cam Little out there with that big old leg, and he's going to make that kick. So that gives the Jaguars also an advantage to maybe even go over the top on some teams. And you just didn't see the mental weakness. You didn't see it. You actually saw some mental toughness and some fortitude where the play of the defense lifted the offense up, led by Foye Oluwakan and, of course, Jordan Lewis. I'm going to keep bragging about Jordan Lewis, man, until somebody realizes how good he is. And Jordan tweeted out yesterday that Foye should be an All-Pro. I agree. But Jordan should be an All-Pro, too. He played with Dallas, and there was a lot of stars all over the place, and he did a lot of dirty work. But if you talk to NFL coaches, they talk about guys like Jordan Lewis and Cam Taylor-Britt, like at Cincinnati, who the Jaguars will play next week. They talk about him and speak about him in football ways, man, that you almost have to really be a student of the game to appreciate everything that they do, and you saw it yesterday. How about a shout-out to Eric Murray for the boomstick hit that separated the ball from a Carolina receiver at a very, very critical juncture of the game. Absolutely, man, I'm just blown away about how they had the fortitude to turn it up when they needed to. Another shout out to the defensive line. We have a lot of questions about them. Got off to a little bit of a slow start early, but then picked it up. Josh Allen. Of course, Josh Allen had pressures. Didn't get but 1 sack. The 1 sack came from Smoot. We reliving Joe Smingy all over again. Every time Smoot does something, they're yelling his name, and it sounds like they're booing. This is all good stuff, man. And the Jaguars played super, super complimentary. Got some things to clean up. Of course, we'll discuss that because we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We enjoyed that for a little bit less than 24 hours. We enjoyed that victory for 12 to 18 hours. Now it's on to Cincinnati. The Bengals. Let's talk about them. They struggled to a 1-point win yesterday at Cleveland, but they are very, very formidable. We'll get to that in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. All right, it's all about game time, man. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle between queues and login screens and prices jumping at checkout. It can be very, very frustrating. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives you back the time and the control to all of the fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included. So the price you see is the price you pay. I pulled up a Game Time in just a couple of taps. I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite NFL games as low as $100. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. That's promo code LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go. Download Game Time today. Third and final segment here on the Victorious Monday. I'm going to try to make that presser down there at 1 o'clock to see what Coach Liam Cohen is chatting about today. But one thing about it, he's chatting as a 1-0 coach. Feel good for him, feel good for James Gladstone, and good for Tony Baselli. And you know what? I'm going to be honest with y'all. I felt good for Shad Khan. I saw him in the locker room, man, afterwards. I didn't personally see him. I mean, on the video, I was too busy trying to get to my car and find my wallet. But I lost my wallet yesterday. Full transparency. They found it. I got to go get it today. But Shad, man, just to see the elation on his face. I never thought he didn't want to win. I just thought he didn't know how to go about it, and that he delegated authority to the wrong people. But to know that he's invested a lot in this team. He's got a lot too, evaluation-wise, but he's also going to build a new stadium. By the way, the stadium, there are a lot of people who visited and complained about yesterday, and I had about 3 times I had to tell everybody, this isn't normally how it is. It's normally not this warm in the press box. We're building the stadium so that the team doesn't have to leave for 2 years. So once they found out, it was like, oh, okay, we get it. All right. But I was even DM people the renditions of the stadium that's going to be built in 2028. So they'd be quiet about our stadium. But I'm just happy for him, man. I'm always happy to see someone get a return on investment in the way that we all want it. I was happy for the fans. Fans, always gracious, people that love the podcast, people telling me that they're everydayers, man, taking pictures, shaking hands. It was a good feeling yesterday to see everyone get rewarded. Really, really good feeling for all of those coaches, Coach Anthony Campanile. We had questions about how the defense would respond. I think they saved the day, in fact, them along with that offensive line and Coach Sean Starrett, man, they got it done. But there are things to clean up. We have to look forward. We have to move forward. They play the Bengals, and I don't want to make it specific about the Cincinnati Bengals and their offensive line and whatever issues that they have, because it's about us, right? It's what we have to do. We know what we have to do. We'll get to that on the crossover on Thursday. So they got to get more sticky on the outside, because now they're going to play great receivers and a great quarterback who can carve you up. There is a little bit of concern with how easy it is for teams to complete these little 5 and 6 yard passes. There's some missed tackles and angles that have to be cleaned up. But I think I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt that those things are not personnel based as much as it is guys just getting used to the regular season and getting hitting other people and being out there full time and playing when you're tired. Everybody has to get greased up. I would love to see some of those pressures turn into sacks when they have the quarterback bottled up. I would love to see that. Offensively, those penalties got to stop. That's one of the things that Liam did say yesterday in the locker room, that if you want to, that was constructive. It was constructive, but it was still critical. You can't beat yourself, man. And when you play a good team, those things can be disastrous. I think 3 times in the first half, they had 1st and 20 or 2nd and 20. One time, I think they had 1st and 28. 2 of those times, I believe that they actually converted. So while it's a good thing, because those things would have been a death nail to the teams that we've seen in the past, I do believe that they showed that they're never out of it and they never quit and they never dropped their head. And those are good things. But as you progress, I want to get greedy with precision. I want them to be greedy with perfection, not resting, not, enjoy it. You got the win. Your process has shown signs that it can work. Now you got to really, really lean in. I want them to lean in. And I want the fans to have the expectations that they're going to lean in. I don't want nobody sitting there saying, hey, man, we're 1-1 after 2 weeks. I'm good with that. No, don't be good with it. This is the part of change that I said has to happen. It's not just them. We have to change, too, from our expectation. We can celebrate these victories, but whatever happened yesterday ain't going to help them. Starting today, it's not going to help them any unless you just dissecting the film and being self-critical. So now they have to really, really batten down the hatches, tighten up, get better and improve. I guess we'll get some news at some point about Anton Harrison. I didn't panic, but I sort of was like, oh God, when I heard it was a back. Trust me, this might just me being too putting myself in it too much, but back injuries are terrible. They linger. They like hamstring injuries and groin injuries. It's like you think it's gone and boom, it pops back up. So hopefully they'll, be able to get it to the point where it's not one of those things that's recurring. And then mentally he doesn't have to be concerned with it and worry about it as much. But the offensive line was good yesterday. Maybe a little anxious because of the penalties, but it also shows you why they got so many people who are versatile that they can move around, right? A big salute. I talked about Foye Oluokun yesterday. I gave Travis Etienne the Locked On Jaguars player of the game. I got to tell you, Brenton Strange, man, I had him in my starting lineup on fantasy because of what I saw in the preseason. Brenton Strange is turning into baby George Kittle to me. And I know y'all gonna say, no, Wig, don't do that. No, but I'm telling you, he's a dual threat blocker, a devastating blocker who is also the dude that always finds himself where Trevor needs him to be in a pass catching capacity. He is a complete tight end. Anybody that listens to this show knows I don't like move tight ends because it's just they're a glorified wide receiver who can't block. So if you're going to do that, why don't you just put a big wide out there? I'd rather have Tim Patrick in the game than have Evan Ingram. That's just me, right? Brenton Strange is a football player. Shout out to Trent Baalke for drafting Brenton Strange, and I thought he was crazy, but he did. So there's a lot of things to clean up. I think what I'm saying in a nutshell is they have to learn how to win, and then they have to learn how to handle winning and handle the success and the prep for what's going to be coming. And what's going to be coming is eventually people are going to look at them and say, oh, those ain't the same old Jaguars. So their level of preparation will elevate. And when they do that, the Jaguars have to elevate right along with them. All right, man, you can elevate yourself, of course, by making sure you check out my other podcast, Locked On NFL. That's right. Your boy got another show, had it for a whole year now, but in case you did not know, we record twice a day with Tyler Rowland, the madman. He gives you a shot of espresso to start your football day, and I'll come sliding on through. It's just like you're in the barbershop, man, for a smooth breakdown to end the day. Find Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. The Jaguars are 1-0, and you can't tell me nothing. We're 1-0. Liam Cohen, 1-0. James Gladstone, Tony Baselli, and Trevor Lawrence for the haters. 1-0, baby. On to Cincinnati. We'll be talking all week about that game, and I have some information from the press conference that I'm going to try to go to here just shortly. We'll do that on our next episode of Locked On Jaguars. Y'all make sure y'all tune in. We'll see you next time.